Look around you, man. You can find inspiration. You can find discouragement. It all depends on you. Perception is everything. Some people just hear another song. Some people hear the greatest. A nigga used to have no chill. Nowadays I bump side A. Traffic going bumper to bumper, stuck on the highway. Alright, we back. My expert opinion, the greatest show in the world. Kind of light today, but you know, we're gonna get
yeah, that's one of the rules.
Yeah, hit the light, hit the share, let everybody know you in here. It don't cost you no paper unless you's a mother. Hater. You're supposed to say it too, man. Come on, man. Yo, shout out to the truckers. I gotta shout you guys out. We did the episode with RZA Islam and started paying attention to the demographics and all that. Mm-hmm. Shout out to all my guys that's in their 30s, all the guys in their mid-20s. You guys are keeping the show alive. I love you. All the guys that's in their 40s and the older hip hop heads that's tuning in. Thank you. Hit that subscribe button. Don't forget, because there's a lot of y'all that's tuning in that's not subscribed. What's up with that? It's free. You know what I mean? It's a good show, good content. You get to see me and MECC dress up like we in a rap group. We did not plan this.
Eminem. The Crip kids.
Yeah, we didn't plan this.
Eminem, Math and Mecca.
This just happened. This just happened. But it's crazy how it just came together. Like, okay.
I thought it was planned.
Smoking. You thought it was planned. You see,
because we got the shoes, you know what I mean?
Yeah, man.
I can't call it.
Nah,
it's the vibration of the day.
I live pretty high up, so he ain't peeking in my window.
I wouldn't do that anyway.
I don't know how you doing this, MECC, but this has happened a couple times. It's getting weird. Just letting you know.
Speak for yourself.
Right.
Shout out to Howard University. Shout out to my sis, Jazz Young, running that program down there with Warner. Big love to all the students who came out to the panels. Hopefully be back there to talk to y'all again. But I figured this was a good episode to shout y'all out because there'll be a lot of good information for y'all specifically. But shout out to the freshman class, so up to the senior class. Shout out to Warner Brothers. Shout out to my sister, Jasmine Young.
I want to give a big shout out to BT. Thank you for the opportunity. Let me host the red carpet for the Hip Hop Awards. We had a great time. Absolutely. We had a great time. It was really a green carpet. It was a green carpet.
And in June, it was a pink carpet.
I don't know. Because the red carpet. They just call it the red carpet, but it's a different color. Yeah. But shout out to everybody I saw on the red carpet. Big shout out to Fat Joe. Thank you. For showing me a lot of love. So we're going to keep it going.
BET will all pull up if we're nominated. Just saying. Shout out to KO, Rhonda, Sam, and everybody that's part of that squad. Also go check out me and MECC Rate the Bars. That's out.
Hilarious.
It's hilarious. Go check that out.
Hilarious.
Shout out to the people's in the building. Y'all on camera, in case you don't know. Like when you're on your phone, people can see you in your phone. Like, oh, this is an interesting show. That's why she's in her phone. It's crazy. Yeah. What's the word,
Everything is
man?
good. Everything is great. I'm happy to be alive. Happy to be free.
Yeah.
Did a lot of moving around with you, man. That was really good, man.
Yeah, you flew out of Atlanta for like a couple of hours and had to fly back.
And you had me come right back.
Yeah, that's right.
For good reasons, though.
Yeah.
For good reason, and we executed the mission. That's all that matters, no matter how it was done.
Right.
We executed. We met some amazing people. Got some great people coming on the show.
Right.
You know, I'm not gonna name them. You know, y'all just stay tuned and see.
Be a good surprise.
Yeah.
Any reason you dressed up like Agent 47? Like just what's the?
Because Edwin's here.
The truth comes out on camera. The truth comes out on camera. You just gotta ask them while the cameras run.
That had something to do prior to the show, so.
Y'all look kind of like a group over
there.
Like, if we look like a group here, y'all definitely look like
E and C, right?
Yeah, like if we the Crips, y'all look like Crips accountants.
Right, we the rap group and they're taking care of our expenses and shit.
Make sure there's black M&Ms in my rider.
All right, today we have a very special guest. We you know, I wanted to start off with joking and good vibes, but the story this man is about to tell is gonna get a little dark, and it has a lot to do with us, especially those that are in our culture, and becoming more aware of what's going on around you, what's going on in society, just staying ahead of, you know, the things that oppress us, the things that we need to overcome. This man has stood for something in a realm where standing for something could cost you your life. We got Edwin Raymond on the show. Time to get dark.
Okay.
Time to get dark.
Let's go.
I want to start this off with one very specific question. Now, you became a whistleblower against NYPD. Some will argue the biggest gang in America. And you had to accept death in the moment that you decided to make that decision. Tell us about the night that you decided to make that decision.
Yeah. Whew. Yeah, I was so before the whistleblowing, you know, I spoke out internally. And because I could frame my arguments intellectually, empirically, I'm ready to have this conversation with anybody. And they try to take my head off for it. You understand?
In what way?
Just first, all types of retaliation. Your supervisor in the police department can ruin your whole life. You understand? It's a paramilitary organization. You're not really free until you retire or you quit or get fired. You know, they control you. What you do outside of work could affect you at work. Very few jobs, what you do outside of work could get you suspended. You know what I mean? I know somebody that got into a bar fight in Texas and came back and was suspended. You understand? Like, you are held to a higher standard, and because of that, they could fuck with you,
Right.
and they do. You know, if you're on the shit list, it's a wrap. So at first it came with the assignments, right? The more your seniority increases, the better your assignment gets. Not me. You know, they kept me with the low assignments, the rookie assignments. And at first it bothered me, but then I was like, you know what? I'm with my people. Prisoner transports, hospitalized prisoners. And what I did with, you know, I didn't enjoy it, but what I did with it was it gave me an opportunity to interview cats. Like, yo, what happened? Like, how'd you end up in here? And that's when I took I was taking a survey in my mind, and I'm like, yo, they keep locking dudes up for nothing, you know? And I knew what it was. It was the quotas, right? After the academy. So when I went into the police academy, I couldn't see why we get treated the way we do. In the academy, it didn't reveal that. I was shocked. Because I know what I've been through. You know, I know what we all go through, especially as Black men.
Right.
But literally the first day out of the academy, we were given quotas.
Now, I gotta ask, because in the academy, one of the officers that were doing training for years was one of the guys with the highest amount of civilian complaints. Was that the person that trained you?
No.
What kind of training was it?
So the curriculum is actually written, like, if they followed that, a lot of the shit we see, we wouldn't see. The problem is, when it comes to us, it's a complete different system. You feel me? There's what's on paper and then what actually happens. So in the academy, I couldn't find the issue. But day one on patrol, the number was 410 and 10. I'm like, it was 410 and 10. 4 arrests, 10 summonses, tickets, and 10 stop and frisk a month. And I'm like, wait, what? So at first I'm like, okay, maybe they want us to kind of know how to do this, so if it goes down,
practicing.
We could know what we got to do.
Yeah.
But then I realized with the lieutenant, that's all it was every day. It was relentless, right? They just kept the pressure on. And now I'm watching, like, as a rookie, I'm seeing cops with 6 months more and up to 3-4 years more than me. They just on it. But then I'm seeing people that I know from the academy that I know they're not bad people, but I'm watching how they patrol, how they police, especially the minority, you know, the Black and Hispanic ones. I'm like, wait, you from LES, you know, you from Harlem, you from Flatbush like me. Why are you moving like this? Oh, I'm just trying to get my numbers. I'm like, wait. So because you're trying to get your numbers, you're gonna violate your community, you're gonna violate your people. And that's when I'm like, yo, this is crazy. So You know, but I'll answer the first question before I get back to that.
The worst, the
Yeah.
moment.
So I ate the retaliation. I didn't enjoy it, but I'm like, if this is the price I got to pay to not violate you, I'm gonna eat it, right? And then the opportunity came. My man Jim, you know, he did some time as a juvie, came out, became read Malcolm, became focused, and he started traveling as an advocate for juvenile justice. And I accompanied him to DC, but they did everything for me not to go to DC and testify. It was President Obama had a task force. This was January 2015, but I figured out a way to go. I went. When I came back, they had it all waiting for me. Low evaluations. I'm on the list to be promoted to sergeant. I'm number 8 on the list of over 900. So when the first group goes in, about 50 at a time, I'm supposed to be promoted, you know. And once you promoted, you don't got to deal with the low level shit. So I want to get promoted, but I'm not gonna violate my people, even if I gotta lose my promotion.
Right.
And even though you say it to yourself, when it actually goes down, that shit still hurts, you know what I mean? Because you work hard. And then it was one particular night, I couldn't sleep, man. For 3 days, I couldn't sleep. It was the worst feeling. I don't wish that shit on my enemy. Like you start to see it in your face, like when you don't sleep. And, you know, my man Jim was like, yo, I couldn't do this shit, Dread. I would have blew all this shit up. I said, what you mean? Like, I can't just blow it up. I got a condo, I got a little Benz, you know what I mean? I got a decent life. You use my car. Like,
what happened?
Yo, honestly, I can't fully call it, man. I went to sleep, I woke up and I'm like, I'm ready. Whatever it is, I'm ready.
There wasn't any particular occasion that kind of hit you a little bit harder than everything else?
Coming back from DC, they hit me with a low evaluation. And to those that don't know, like that, your career is done. That evaluation, my career is over. I'm not getting promoted with that. That combined with the conversation with my man, where I'm pushing back on him, but then, you know, after the third day, I was like, fuck it. It is what it is. If I gotta, in order for me to stand up to suspension, reprimand, anything that they throw at me, I gotta be ready to die. And the shit I'm getting ready to expose, I gotta be ready to die.
Why ready to die?
Because honestly, man, them summonses becomes money, right? Parking summonses alone makes $500 million in New York City. Just parking summonses. When you add the drinking summonses and all the other summonses, we talking about billions of dollars that I'm about to stop. Because if my work goes through, right, we get it better, right? We don't get harassed as much, but the dollars start flowing. And I'm a Haitian kid from Flatbush. And I'm the last person that should be stopping these type of dollars. So you gotta be ready. And self-preservation, man, like.
Wait, when you say you gotta be ready, are you insinuating that there's a possibility that someone could try to take your life?
100%, man. And that situation became heavy a few years later when I basically got about 80 cops together. We stood at the Brooklyn Bridge supporting Colin Kaepernick. The 4 death threats came that same day. Life-changing experience. They were officers. I don't know who they were though. You know what I mean? And the crazy shit is the NYPD assigned a detective to monitor those threats. So every few weeks, the detective would send me an audio or a message on social media, say, do you know who this is? I'm like, no. I was like, all right, we're gonna monitor. But in my head, I'm like, I can't trust you to, you know what I mean? Like I'm going against the shit that y'all doing. So it was a crazy situation to be in. The only thing that held me down, honestly, was the hood, man. Thankfully, you got cats that pay attention. And cats was like, yo, I don't fuck with no police, but I was watching Channel 4. I know who you are. You good on my block. You know what I mean? And every time, eventually I did get promoted. You know, I was in Brownsville, East New York, the toughest parts of Brooklyn. Mm-hmm. And every time something would go down, if I was the sergeant that came out, it was all love. You know what I mean? So the hood held me down. But yeah, the NYPD detective straight said, if you didn't live where you lived in Flatbush, where I was born and raised and still live, we would have to relocate you. You know what I mean? Because it's serious, these are threats coming from cops. We all got guns, you feel me? Right. So they could line me up going into my car, anything. So it was a crazy time.
How do you respond to cops? How do you respond to the police who say the main reason you blew the whistle is because you got those low marks? Maybe it was just sour grapes. Yeah. And now you blowing it up or even making it up just to have something to say.
You know what's crazy, man? I read some of that. You know, and little do they know, I'm number 8 on the list. I could just quickly play the game, get promoted, and just worry about myself and my career. But I literally went in, you know, I was a man on a mission. I started reading. I ain't never read before. I started reading like hard, like heavy books when I was about 19. Destruction of Black Civilization, Malcolm X, Assata Shakur, Taste of Power, the work of Dr. Henry Clark, CLR James. I mean, you name it. I started inhaling books, you know what I mean? So I went in with a mind that I wasn't malleable. I wasn't impressionable like everyone else. And that's what helped me stay focused. Don't get me wrong, I almost slipped once. I was working plainclothes, and it was on New Lots in East New York.
Mm.
It was me, the sergeant, and another cop.
By the 3 train?
Yeah, the last stop, New Lots, yeah. Mm. And we was out there to get an arrest, right? Because the way it works is somebody was snatching cell phones at New Lots. So we just got to arrest anybody there for anything. Not the person snatching cell phones. As long as you get arrest within the vicinity, you good to go. Like the logic makes no sense. Exactly. Like, so you essentially feeling it, right? Because somebody is doing some shit over there. And I'm just like, this shit don't make no sense. You know what I mean? So we out there, it's the last stop. We in plainclothes. We split up. We getting off the train. And there's a dude on the other side. He's motioning like, yo, you gotta swipe. You gotta swipe. So I look at the sergeant. I look at the other cop like, yeah, he about to jump, right? So we split up. He's asking for swipes. Everybody just walking by him. So then he motions by the exit gate. We're like, yeah, he about to, once he go through the gate, you ain't pay your fare. And then like one of the last passengers, an old little lady goes in her purse and swipes him off. I'm like, fuck. In my head, I'm like, damn. You know what I mean? Like that's supposed to be my arrest for the night. And then it hit me. I was like, wait, whoa. Edwin.
What the?
Did you just get mad because you didn't put a black man in the cage? Like, what the fuck is happening to you? And that's when I had to pull myself out. And me as a conscious black man, if even I could be susceptible to that thinking, then it's real. And
so wait, so my question is, with that, that would have been crazy. Yeah.
Hold on. And I'm a conscious black man.
Yeah, no, I understand.
I'm a Garvey.
Yo, did you want to arrest the old lady?
No. Not the old lady.
What the fuck?
Not the old lady.
Yo, get this old lady a summons, man.
Yeah. You know what's crazy? If she took a penny for that swipe, we could have arrested her.
Wow.
That's a
you can't sell it.
You can't sell it. You could gift it though. But we were focused on him because we had to get an arrest. So the way it works is we were on overtime.
Right.
When you're on overtime, you have to get an arrest because that's how you keep getting overtime. If you're on overtime, you don't get an arrest, the sergeant's not gonna choose you again. You got a lot of cops, they live above their means. You know what I mean? The car they drive, the house they go to, the school they got their kids in, the way they eat, how they vacation, the toys they like to play with. It's because of the overtime. So if it's you or their overtime, it's you. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
they want to keep their lifestyle up. And that's when I caught myself like, yo, nah, what the fuck is happening to you, E? Like you just got upset because you didn't put a black man in the cage for $225. Like, snap out of it, man.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Go ahead,
So
Jim.
my thing, the mindset, that aha moment you had in the subway station. Prior to that aha moment, you had the same mindset as your colleagues, where you were like, yo, I have to reach this quota, I have to make this arrest.
Yeah, because how do you make
No, it's the other way. You were the
Just
other way, and
switch
you caught yourself
automatically,
getting
or-
closer
Right.
to
Yeah,
No,
nah.
but you become number 8 on the list. How? By hitting that quota?
No. Oh, that's for sergeant?
Yeah.
Oh no, you got to study hard for like
There's a sergeant
2,000-page document called a patrol guide. You got to study that shit in and out. Memorize it. 6 months of hard study. Like I had no life. I had a motorcycle. I sold my bike. I was just focused, hyper focused on this test. You know what I mean? And I did well.
Dope.
But the quotas help you get to detective. But we'll get into that. You know what I mean?
But what I was saying is the mindset. That mindset of you have to get this arrest because you're doing overtime. You had that mindset prior to having this aha moment?
Nah. The sergeant chose me because you would never think I'm a fucking cop. You know what I mean? I got my long locks. I'm from the hood. You know what I mean? So he always chose me because it was easier. You feel me? Cats would do shit in front of me, but it was transit. It was just jumping the turnstile. It was nothing crazy, but we was throwing you in the cage for real. You know what I mean? And that part, like it got crazy because like, doing the prisoner transports, I remember, seeing images of slave ships. Man, this shit look like a slave castle, man. It's crazy. And then you start asking, what you here for? What you here for? And it's nothing. Next, number one arrest up until 2015 was marijuana related. You know what I mean? And if you go to Crown Park Slope, that's where everybody's smoking weed.
my neighborhood.
You see what we do now? How everybody can smoke. They've been doing that in Park Slope, and it was nothing. It was nothing. You feel me? But you do
That's a
that
fact.
2 miles to the east in Brownsville, it's a wrap.
So where does the indoctrination start? You said it's one set of rules that they're teaching you in the academy.
Yeah.
Then once you get out the academy, it seems to switch up.
It's immediate.
Immediate.
But it's not subtle.
No, it's
No,
immediate.
it's immediate.
So where does the where do you get to like
It's
turn into
I mean, it's the technical term is normative social behavior. It's like when you around something, you flow into it. It's
Right. If
kind of human
everyone's doing
nature,
it.
honestly. It's
so
just,
just going along to get along?
that's it. It's really human nature. You feel me?
So why didn't you? Like why didn't you?
Yeah, and that's been like some people. They're like, no, I don't believe this. I mean, he because he ain't get promoted. That's why he making.
Because it
noise.
sounds righteous.
Yeah,
It sounds righteous, and people don't really have a lot of belief in righteous people. It's hard to have faith in somebody who sounds too good to be
I hear you.
too good to be true.
I hear you.
Or the
kid.
standout.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds like you're doing. There's a lot of people who will plant their flag in a righteous cause for the attention that it brings them specifically,
Yeah.
not necessarily because they believe in the cause.
Yeah, brother, I went in with the mindset, a man on a mission. You feel me? The way I saw it is for me to read these books. And I spent a whole summer coming out here to Harlem, going out to the Schaumburg, you understand, just building my mind. For me to read these books, have these conversations, watch these documentaries, understand who we are, historically and contemporarily, go into the police department and go with the flow, I'll be a fraud. You feel me? So I literally was a man on a mission. I didn't expect to do it like this as a whistleblower and all that. Honestly, I'm like, these white boys don't understand us, right? I'm gonna get up in there, I'm gonna be in charge of a precinct, commanding officer, and I'm gonna do shit differently. Once I can show that we can minimize crime without violating, this will become the new blueprint. You know what I mean? I was 22, I was a little naive.
Right.
That's what I thought I was gonna do. I ain't never expect to do it like this. If I could have accomplished this mission without anyone knowing my name, I would have preferred that. But with all movements, it needs a face. It needs somebody that's willing to take the blows.
You didn't realize it was systemic. You just
You
thought
didn't realize
somebody was
that
overlooking.
you was about to bankrupt New York trying to do this shit. You didn't realize how much of the economy revolves
so you know what
around
it
the
is?
judicial
Oh yeah,
system.
shit. So that's what I forgot to say. So it was always white boys throwing us up on the wall, violating us, asking us questions.
Yeah.
But then when I was 18, I was walking with my girl at the time, and it was unmarked, right? The D's.
Mm-hmm.
They rolled up on us, and homeboy was Dominican. You feel me? And he had, from the accent, I know he was Dominican from the accent, and he violated, man. And that was the first time it was a black cop. And I was confused. I'm like, wait, you black? Why are you doing this? And you black?
Mm-hmm.
And that shit just stayed. Like a week later, I couldn't stop thinking about that shit. And that's what made me say, I gotta go into this, man. I gotta see what's going on. You understand? So thankfully, I was able to build my mind and fortify it against normative social behavior, especially when it came to eating my own people. You understand? So I was featured in a New York Times article in 2016, and that's the first time I ever met like what you just asked me, because the journalist was like, wait, what do you mean at 22 you went in this focus and this militant? I was like, it's exactly what it is though. You feel me? And I'm Haitian, and we historically this is what we do.
Yeah.
You understand? Indignation is our biggest motivation. Injustice, everything could be wrong in Haiti. Let somebody do some injustice is a wrap. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Look what's going on right now. We're building a canal in Dominican Republic. Haiti's all fucked up, but the Dominicans are violating. All of a sudden, that injustice, people are coming in from all over the country to build that canal, or to source the river, etc.
Right.
Yeah.
You don't have a reputation for being a scared people. That's a fact.
Yeah.
Well, I have to commend you because a lot of brothers had the idea of infiltrating a system and making change from within, but not many had the heart to follow through.
Yeah.
And being that you stood on your ground, I want to know what the makeup of you is. Like, how did you grow up? What led up to that?
Yeah. Whew. So I never thought my childhood, like I never understood it. You feel me? Like in the hood, everybody got a mom. You know what I mean? Like some of my mans, they didn't have their father, but everybody got a mom. But me and my brother, we ain't have no mom. You feel me? I was 3 when my mom died. And my father was old school. My father was born in 1937. He was just old, right? And Haitian culture is very conservative, very traditional. Most Haitian men can't even boil water. Like the women deals with the food.
Yeah.
So because of that, and it's not my dad's fault, but a lot of the responsibilities he didn't pick up when my mom died. So my brother and I, we starved for years, like starved. Like I remember one time the teacher had to weigh us, and I was like 55 pounds in 5th grade. You know what I mean? Yeah. And we was Haitian. I mean, you got to be from the old New York to understand what that is.
Listen, man. I already know, man. There's all types of names, booty scratching, like all types of crazy
I didn't want to go to school, man.
Yeah,
and,
that's tough.
You know, between having to starve, just the rough life. Collecting cans, you feel me, to eat. Just standing by the dudes on the corner, running to McDonald's for them, hoping to get a tip. We would collect that, and we would put the quarters together to eat fried chicken and fries to watch TGIF. And that was the only warm meal that we ate the whole week. Friday, sitting on the bed watching Steve Urkel. Yeah, I used to question God, like, what the fuck? Like, why is it like this?
Right.
When I went through my shit with the department, I will never question it. Like that, it fortified me. Like, literally, I already know how to suffer. So there's literally nothing they could have done. That all I had to do was tap in. Edwin, look what you survived. Look what happened at 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Look what you survived. You could do this. You got this. This is for your people. This is bigger than you.
Right.
And I had to tap into that. It wasn't fun. Mentally, it wasn't fun. You know what I mean? And in the NYPD, because you carried a gun, anything with mental, they pull that gun, they try to get rid of you. So I had to always appear a lot stronger. You feel me? I couldn't even get therapy. Because if I'm in therapy, they watch me. Every move I make, I gotta walk. I was already kind of straight, but I had to walk the straightest line once I decided to blow this whistle.
Right.
But essentially, what allowed me to do this, I was already fortified with the struggle of just growing up in the hood. You know what I mean?
What was it like with your friends? You making this transition, deciding that you were going to join law enforcement.
Man, yeah.
I know that's not very well received.
Oh, no, it's all good. Like, I'm from Newkirk, shout out to Flatbush. It's funny because, I'm an author now. When I was writing my book, I went back and sat on my rooftop, my old rooftop, because there's something about being home, can't explain it.
Sometimes I go to my old block.
Exactly, it just clears your mind.
Stand on the corner for a little bit.
Exactly.
And then get the fuck out of here.
So at first, right, I used to come on the block, and this is my man. We used to play Street Fighter. Like, come on, I know your mom, I know your sister. I was at your baby shower.
Yeah.
And the block will always clear out. Yeah. Like, yo, where y'all going? Why the block clearing out? Right?
It's not black anymore. It's blue.
You feel me? It's like, this nigga Edwin coming, man.
We was talking about this earlier. I had a friend that I protected when I was young. Because, he was really smart. He reminded me of myself, but unfortunately, I had to get in the shit. So that toughened me up a little bit. But recognizing in him, like, okay, you're like me, you smart kid, you getting great grades, you're in a gifted program, all that stuff. I've been there, I know what it's like. Let me keep people off of you. So, anybody mess with him, they ask my little brother, I'll run down on him, what up? Now he gets older and he joins law enforcement. I see him later. And, we're having a conversation. This is around the time the Sean Bell thing happened. And I asked him, like, how you feel about that? And he said, better them than us. And I always wondered, like, because it enraged me. Because I remember protecting you. How could, he kept going over and over about how much he loved his job and all that. It's like almost he was getting revenge. But I'm like, yo, did you remember, like, the people who looked out for you? Those are the same faces you running down on. You know what I mean? Like, and I always wanted to know, was there some sort of, like, brainwashing? Or like, what causes someone to change like that? What causes someone to see themselves outside of their race once they put this badge on?
Yeah, honestly, man, it's just basic tribalism. You feel me? This is the new environment they in. This is what they about now. It happens in every other sector you could think about, cops are no different. Somebody joining law enforcement is really no different. There's a sister I know, she's Dominican, you know, she's like the biggest, like, conservative. And I'm like, you're an immigrant, you're black, you're Hispanic, you're a woman. There's no reason for you to focus on anything.
Nowhere on that list.
Right,
You know what I mean?
right.
But-
They're not thinking
but-
about you.
What trumps all of that is her, you know, her position in law enforcement. Because that's where her mentality comes from.
Right.
You feel me? So, and some people, man, like there's some black cops, they look down on others. You feel me? Because they making a little bread compared to people in the hood, and they see it as, you know, yeah, bums. You know what I mean? And that's a big part of it. And
You had the same opportunities I got.
you got that technique, that being overly technical, not understanding why the hood is the hood and everything else that goes on. Because technically, there's a choice. And I ain't gonna lie, for the first 3-4 years, I was frustrated. I thought every black cop was like me. I thought every black cop said, "I'm gonna go in here to do things better."
Good. No, my
Yeah,
brother.
Yeah, I had to. That was a hard lesson that I had to learn the hard way. Like,
It's not like
they
that.
just here to make their money.
Now, there's an organization.
Matthew, you got to remember those same faces that protected your boy. There was a lot more of them that beat him up and bullied him. So when he got the chance, that power corrupted. Absolutely.
I mean, that's part of it. That happens also.
I'm just
Yeah.
that specific example with him.
Yeah.
Like, you're still a wild case
Yeah.
because you walk in here fortified with you're coming from a very specific point of view,
Yeah.
very specific metric. Books, heroes, Marcus, like you have an objective and an agenda,
Mm-hmm.
which automatically is going to put you at odds with anybody who's just trying to get along. I just want my check, bro. You fucking up the feng shui.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Shut up with that. Like, go somewhere with that shit. I'm just trying to get paid and you fucking this up.
Right.
Yeah, I almost got into fist fights because of that, man. Like, you know, I used to always speak to my peers again because I could make the argument intellectually. And one time it was a black cop. He was like, "Yo, on some real shit, Raymond, niggas is tired of your mouth, man. If you want to fuck up your career, you feel me, out here not doing the job, you in the wrong job. You don't want to do this shit, don't fucking quit. If niggas want to make their money, shut the fuck up." And then somebody was like, "Yo, chill, nah, fuck that. We tired of this nigga, man. Like, yo, he always hits yapping his mouth. Niggas is always, you're like, y'all tired of him too. Now y'all gonna get at me for saying something." I'm like, I was like that, like, oh shit. And it's crazy because that same brother is one of my biggest supporters now. You feel me? He apologized for that whole scenario.
Yeah.
And was like, "Yo, honestly, man, I couldn't see what you were seeing at the time." You feel me? He became a father that woke him up a little bit.
I think that's the thing that scares me. See, I think about myself and I'm like, okay, all right, I got enough money that I could hire security anytime I go out. I could do this, I could do that. But then my boys, they don't want to move like that. You know what I mean? See, they're not on some, "Yo, dad, I'm going to the mall with my friends. Can you get some security?" And that's when it hits me like, yo, I hope, I pray. I tell them like how to move, what to do. You in the car, it's more than 3 of y'all, take your hat off. You got a hoodie on, take the hood. You know what I mean? Just things that I learned growing up, like, yo, just to stay under the radar so that you don't have to have those type of encounters because they were detrimental to me. I remember 14 years old, getting slammed by a cop like I was a grown man. For some bullshit.
Yeah, I went through that too, yo.
Just playing around in the subway.
Yep.
Just playing around in the subway. And, you know, as I got older, you know, the target, like the cops in my hood, they was on some other shit. They used to ride through and, you know, get on the bullhorn and be like, "Yo, popo up, bees down." You know what I'm saying? Like shit like that. It makes you feel like, what you mean? You know what I mean? Like, what, this is the type of crazy shit that, and just by my attitude, if I got in an argument with my mother and I left the house and I was angry, like just my whole demeanor would attract just law enforcement. And the shit it criminalized me because I started hating the way that I was being treated so much that I wanted to rebel.
I got you.
You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's, yo, man, that's so on point. And it's like, I learned that after I did therapy in retrospect, that the first time I actually got beat up by the cops and arrested, after that is when my whole criminal career started. Because I wanted to rebel against the cops.
Right.
It was like I intentionally would go out and commit crimes and say, "Fuck you. You could chase me in the car, you could do whatever you want to do, but it's a big fuck you to you." And that led down a long fucking line.
You
of
know, that's the
criminality.
difference. That's the difference between the hero and the villain. Like, if you're into any kind of comic books, or any whatsoever, there's the hero and the villain, and you go into their origin stories, and it's identical.
It's a traumatic.
Somebody got
event.
hurt.
It's like Batman and the Joker.
What happens is the Joker has a scar. Or every villain has like some kind of physical thing that shows you that something really, really bad happened to them at one point. Same thing with the hero. Maybe not a scar, but
the hero's internal.
Might be inside. Exactly.
Right.
And the only difference is how they respond to the thing that happened to them. The hero says, this happened to me. I can't let it happen to anybody else. The villain says, this happened to me. I'm going to get them before it happens to me again. That's the only difference.
He calling you a villain, man.
Yeah,
I mean, that's what it is.
He knows it too.
I definitely became the villain too. I was just a little bit. I was just a little bit smarter than him. You know what I'm saying?
Quietly, I'm surrounded by him in here. Like,
I would have conversations with police officers on nights that I was doing bullshit. Yeah. Just on some, like, you don't even know what I'm out here doing. But I'm gonna talk to you about your salary, and damn, that's fucked up. They drop y'all at $25,000 and then go around the corner and rob somebody. You know what I mean? Like, that was my little get back or whatever.
You could have responded that way. That's one of the things. Yeah. Your man was going in that direction. Your people was going in that direction. Yeah. You were being abused by the cops. You have you're starving all weekend until you get to eat. School lunch only. You dig what I'm saying? Yeah. You're isolated by your community because you're Haitian, you're skinny, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you have all the incentive to do exactly, and no one would have blamed you. That's the real, you would have been justified it. You know what? Fuck this, fuck them, fuck you. Give me this, give me that, take it off. Yeah. Fuck that, I gotta eat.
And it's crazy you say that because, like, God rest his soul, my brother Michael K. Williams, we used to speak at different schools, and that would be the hardest question. Like, when I give my background, students, high school kids would be like, wait, how did you not end up,
that way,
in that direction? And I don't know how to answer that question, man. I'm still trying to figure it out myself.
People read the same books that you had. Everybody had access to the same books, but for some reason.
Yeah, it's something I'm still trying to figure out myself, I'll be honest. And on top, I'm starving and I'm in the one class. You know what I mean? I'm in the gifted programs. You feel me? Like, 4th grade is really where the reading level drops for black kids, and we never catch back up. You feel me? There's studies where they determine prisons, the amount of prisons needed in 15 years based on reading scores now. You understand? That's how serious 4th grade. 4th grade, I scored a perfect in the reading and the math state exams in New York. One of the hardest tests in the country. New York school curriculum is harder than the rest of the country. And I'm starving doing this, you know what I mean? I used to watch Jeopardy with my dad. My dad ain't speak no English, but he would never miss Jeopardy. I used to watch Jeopardy with my dad, and I'm 9 years old answering the question. Every time I say it before the contestant, and then the contestant say, he would look like, how the fuck you know this? I'm like,
I'm sitting here watching like this, like
exactly. So that's something
I believe it's more so innate. With your culture, you being a Haitian brother, it's innate.
We have some Haitian.
You look at the history of your culture.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure your dad had a very strong stance about any type of street activity.
Like, my dad, one of the things, like, I remember as a kid, Nelson Mandela just became the president of South Africa, and he was crying. I didn't really get it. Like, he black, he's African. What's the problem? Not knowing the history of apartheid and all. And so my father, he instilled that negritude in me, that pride in my blackness. You understand? He didn't have the vocabulary for it, but he understood. The last thing my father told me was, if you black, you African. Like, it's the last words he said to me before he passed. Like, this is something that was, integral to who he was. And he passed that shit down to me, and I just took it and ran with it. So it's several things. That's something I'm gonna still try to figure out. But whatever it is, I'm glad it happened. I was able to, not to listen. I'm from the hood. I'm gonna still get caught up in certain things. There's situations that occurred where my life could have went that other direction too. I'm not gonna say I was perfect.
Name one.
Well, my man started carrying guns, man. I was always around guns. You know what I mean? I've never said that publicly. Like, I was always around guns. And we wasn't causing trouble. It's just dudes from the 90s, Brownsville, they would come to our parties and turn it up. So
playing defense.
Yeah, I ain't gonna name no rappers, but a couple rappers from Brooklyn there,
Yeah.
that used to, you know.
Yeah.
1 2.
Yeah.
1 2. The
Yeah.
1 2.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You heard.
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So I was, you know what I mean? I never carried guns illegally, but I was always around guns, you know what I mean? And again, it was just, everybody got guns out here. We ain't gonna be the ones naked. You feel me?
Right.
Did you lose any of your friends?
Yeah. I mean, it's an impossible thing to avoid, I think, being in the hood. The first time it hit home, it was my man, Jerk Chicken, man. Chris, he worked in a jerk chicken spot. You know how it is in the hood. And yeah, I hurt, man. Like,
over what?
Newkirk Avenue, man. It was my side and the other side. You know what I mean? 2 blocks away, same people, we all struggling, but for some reason we think we each other's enemies. You know what I mean? And the dudes on my side, they just did some dumb shit and robbed our corner store. You feel me? This dude been selling us shit on credit, looks out for our parents, and they put masks on and rob our own corner store. So they had to go to the other side to get their backwoods and whatever for their weed. But that's the other side. That's the, you know, the line, you know, and some shit went down in front of the corner store. Somebody from my side backed them down. Came back later and lit up the block. 3 shot. My man Jerk Chicken died. You know what I mean? That's the first time it hit home. I actually write about that in my books. The first time it ever hits home like that. And, you know, to see a man dead in a box is crazy.
Yeah.
Rest in peace.
Yeah,
Wild
condolences.
Yeah. You know, translating the news from my dad, like I remember around 13, the first time I translated that a 13-year-old got killed, I'm like, oh shit. At 8, the 13-year-old, you think that's a grown man. You know what I mean? At 8, you don't know better. Because when I was 8, 9, 10, the hustlers were 14, 15, 16. They were more adult than the adult. The adults were afraid of them. You feel me? So, but when you're 13 and you're reading it off the screen and you're hearing it and you translate and you telling your dad a 13-year-old got killed in Crown Heights, that's the first time it's like, oh shit, I'm 13. But then when I turned 16, you know, Chris was a little older. Yeah, he got hit and died right there. He bled out, internal bleeding. Ooh, yeah, that was rough, man. Like, and honestly, by the time I was 20, I seen it at least 20 more times, man. You know, the old New York was different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why do you think, as somebody who spent as much time in the hood as you have, and you've also been behind the blue line, why do we bump heads the way that we do? In your opinion? Why is somebody from one building beefing with the dude in the very next building right over when, like you said, we're all struggling, everybody's going through it, everybody's looking for a way out, nobody likes it here.
Because we don't see the bigger picture, man.
Yeah.
We don't see the bigger picture. We know what we're going through. It's misaimed anger. You feel me? We don't see the bigger picture. Exactly. We don't see the bigger picture. You feel me? It's easier to see your own reflection. Like especially when I started driving around like 19, me and my mans, you know, my cousin, we would drive out, we'd be chilling, go out to Westbury out in Long Island. And the minute we crossed that line back in the hood, we got our game faces on. And we like, yo, like it hits you like, why we can't just chill? Why we all can't just chill? You know what I mean? But now it's funny because, like, you know, back then it was, you know, because of the drugs, it was territory and everything else.
Right.
Today it just be lyrics, man. You feel me? Like, one of the things that we don't talk enough about that really helped with crime is scamming, man. Scamming helped a lot because now you get money without having to be on the corner. Now you get money without having to clap somebody up for their territory. Now you get money without having to do, you just on your computer all day, right? Mm-hmm. But then the lyrics, you feel me? You first speak it. At first it's just words, but then the words become gunplay, and now your man is dead in the box. I know that feeling. I'll be lying if I tell you I ain't say let's go on the other side and put their man in the box. That's what I was thinking at 16. You feel me? And before you know it, now you're not even remembering the lyrics. Now you got real dead bodies. And now the lyrics are reflecting that, and then now it's just it spirals. And
it just keeps
keeps
going until somebody decides.
Yeah.
To stop.
Yeah, and that's not an easy decision.
It's not.
You feel me? Because you kill my brother, that's gonna be hard for me to look you in the face. But it happens. You feel me? Like right now, my side of Newkirk and the other side is all love. Part of the reason is because they was beefing with other neighborhoods.
Ain't it funny how
so there's like, listen, Cause the Ussies coming out here, we got the 90s coming out here, we can't be beefing next door. You know what I mean? And, well, I don't know how the truth happened. That's the generation after me, but it's all love. I couldn't walk to the train on the other side. They couldn't take the train on my side because you couldn't cross Flatbush Avenue. You know what I mean? On the same avenue. The same Newkirk.
And then if a bunch of dudes from the Bronx show up, then all of a sudden everybody's united against the dudes from the Bronx. And
let me tell you,
some dudes from Virginia come up, everybody in New York is united against those dudes specifically.
The thing about it is it's always a common enemy. The common enemy is always present.
That's why I was building out to
the bigger picture.
That's why
one of my mans, he around 16, 17, started going in and out of Rikers. And one of my other mans, they used to be cool. They was clapping at each other, you name it. In Rikers, they held each other down.
Yeah, that's how it be.
You know what I mean? And when he first told me that, because he came home before the other dude, he was like, yo, he held me down. I'm like, wait, what? I seen the bullet whiz by your head 2 weeks ago, man. He almost took you out.
Right.
But when y'all in OBCC, he held you down. But I don't know. You know what I mean?
Black man, I am not your enemy.
Yeah.
We're not enemies out here.
You're not your enemies, man. But at the same time, Mac, we could say that, but it's like the Matrix.
Yeah.
Until somebody's unjacked.
Egos is a big part of it. Machismo, you know what I mean?
They're a potential enemy because you don't know where their thinking is going to go.
Yeah.
You got all the other elements in the environment. You got the liquor store, you got bad food with GMOs, you got weed, you got pills, you got coke, you got everything you need to self-destruct.
Yeah.
All this firsthand knowledge you had, and you couldn't get the superiors in the NYPD to listen to you.
Man, listen, man.
You had to blow the whistle before they actually paid any attention.
Well, let's get to the actual whistleblowing.
Yeah.
Should we take 5 minutes?
What's the time on this? No. Not yet. Can you break down exactly the process, why, who's, what happened?
Yeah. So, you know, at this time I have about 7 years in the NYPD. I've already been outspoken internally. I've already been railroaded, reprimanded against, but like I said, I ate it, right? If that's what I gotta go through to not violate anybody in here, so be it. But at the same time, I'm gonna work towards this mission. I came back from DC with my man, Obama's task force. And then one of my mentors in the police department, he was like, yo, there's a group of cops that's gonna be in front of police headquarters exposing the quotas. So I was all right, I'm gonna pull up. I pulled up and I joined them. They had a lawsuit going. I joined, but then the lawyer was like, yo, we need you to be the face of this lawsuit. I was like, nah, well, I gotta be the face. Like, I'm just here. I'm just trying to. I just decided this last. You know what I mean? Like, come on, why I gotta be the face?
Y'all playing this 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. But he was like, yo, your story is the most compelling. Not to mention, you're on the list to be sergeant. If they don't promote you, it's pretty obvious.
Looks like real retaliation.
Exactly. So, you know, I spoke to my man. I spoke to my mentor, and they were like, you really asking me this question? You was born for this, man. So I signed the dotted line. I jumped on the lawsuit. And then a journalist called the lawyers and was like, yo, And then a journalist called the lawyers and was like, yo, I saw the press conference. I want to interview the cops. And the lawyer was like, no. You only need to interview one. And the journalist told me this. When we met, he was 5 minutes into the conversation. He was like, when they told me I only needed to speak to one, it didn't make sense, but I get it now. He was like, I'm gonna do the group story, but he's like, I think America needs to hear your story separate. And it took about 8 months of interviews. He became my therapist, really, man. Because I ain't really have nobody to talk to. I just got out of a relationship, and my ex, we were still cool, but you know, she got a new man now. I'm calling her, she's laying up with her man. It's embarrassing, you know what I mean? Keeping it real. She was embarrassing. She gonna kill me for sharing this story, but like,
you know, I can't answer the phone.
Listen, she gonna kill me.
Calling here after 12, homie.
Listen.
I'm just saying.
The first time I called her,
right?
Right? I'm like, wait, you got company? She was like, it don't matter. I got you, right? Like 2 months later, I'm going through it again. I call her, and she was like, if you don't get me on the cell, hit me on the landline. So I called the cell, I called the landline, I called the cell again. I'm like, all right, whatever. 2 minutes later, she's like, everything good? I was like, yo, these people at work, man, fuck. She was like, yeah, I understand, but if I don't pick up, you don't gotta be blowing up my phone like that. I was like, whoa, what happened to I got
Is she answer the phone like, everything good? Wait, hold on a second.
why you calling her, man? Listen, man. You know what I mean? So
Disrespectful, man. That's crazy.
I ain't mean it. I ain't mean to be disrespectful.
I know, but it's like,
Yeah.
but it's like,
That's your
damn.
go-to person.
Yeah,
to-
yo, I
Who do you
had-
lean on?
Yo, I had, you know what I mean? And this mentally, this is not. I gotta go into remembering that I used to starve as a kid to walk into work every day. That's not a good way to meditate before work.
This is
Right.
after you
This
recorded
This is
the tapes.
Yeah, so I started recording supervisors. So I'm like, so the stop and frisk case is called Floyd versus the city of New York. A gentleman named David Floyd was the lead plaintiff, right?
Mhm.
And in 2013, thankfully, the judge made the right decision and ruled that the way that the NYPD engaged in stop and frisk was unconstitutional. It's the things you tell your son, don't be in the car three deep, take your hat off. That's what they were doing. That's not constitutional.
Right.
They try to make it fit with them legal parameters when they write it up, but in reality, we know what it is.
Yeah.
But I watched that case, and I watched one by one as the chiefs take the stand, and they were just lying. I'm like, y'all tell us to do this every day, but in the stand, y'all saying we don't engage in this behavior. I'm like, I gotta record these people, man, because if this shit ever hits the fan, I gotta be able to prove it. They're just gonna deny it. They're gonna show their policy, and it's just gonna be it's one man's word versus the other. And they chiefs, they're executives. They have a lot more clout than me.
Right.
So that recording it, capturing it, that's what makes the story. You feel me? So.
Were you worried about losing qualified immunity? Is that it? You wanted to cover yourself?
Nah, not
With the
even. I
tapes?
just cover myself to prove what they saying. That's it.
that they bullshit.
That's it. You know what I mean? So
So hold on, walk us through this.
yeah.
You go into work, go to the locker room, get changed up. Are you recording through your cell phone?
No, so I didn't record in the locker room. I didn't record cops. I only recorded supervisors.
Right.
And usually the way it would go is that roll call, after giving me my assignment, they'd be like, "Yo, Raymond, stand by." Right? Stand by means I gotta talk to you.
Yeah.
So I already knew, right? So I recorded the roll call because I already knew. So, or if I didn't record the roll call, once they said stand by, I quickly went in my phone, put it back in my breast pocket, and they would pull me aside and was like, "Yo, this is what it is. They bringing me pressure because you ain't out here. You ain't locking enough people up. You ain't giving enough summonses." I'm like, "Yo, but I'm out here. If it goes down, I do what I got to do. If it goes down, but this is $2.50. Like, this ain't the crime of the century. Right. If I could talk to someone, especially if it's a young person, I'm gonna talk to them. But I'm making the stop. I'm addressing the condition.
You're not ignoring it.
Exactly."
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, "Yeah, but it's what they can see on paper, man." I'm like, I'm not locking up two 16-year-olds for going through the turnstile together on one swipe. I could talk to them. You feel me?
Right.
And there was one 16-year-old, shout out to Cash, who I used to talk to all the time, just drop gems on. And just last year, I found out he's doing his thing now. You know what I mean? Like 10 years later, like 10, 12 years later. And not just him, it was a young Guyanese kid, I won't say his name. He used to be robbing everybody, right? And I'll never forget, I went into the cell, and the juvenile room is where we would chill, eat pizza. And somebody was like, "Yo, Ray, you gotta check your gun. When you're in the cell area, you can't have your firearm." I'm like, "For what?" So we got a perp in there. I look, there's a little kid on the bench. I'm like, so I put my gun away, I read, I'm like, robbery. So, I start talking to him. He's nervous at first. And then he's like, he's been arrested 4 times already for robbery. I said, wait. You got 5 felonies, bro? And you 15? So I start dropping gems on him, right? Mm-hmm. His family came from Guyana. I'm explaining to him, we're not here to play games. We here to get a piece of the pie, et cetera. And then one of the cops walks in and he was like, "Yo, Ray, don't waste your breath. We're just waiting for next year." Because next year he's 16, he get charged as an adult. Right. So I waited for the cop to walk off. I was like, "You hear that? You saw that right there?" I said, "Am I wasting my time talking to you?" And he was like, No, sir. I said, well, what you do with this conversation determines if I'm wasting my time. Because look at that. Mm-hmm. I could have been like that. So when I would go to Coney Island, I would see him on the list, the robbery recidivist list, because, he was snatching iPhones, you name it. Mm-hmm. And after about 2 years, I didn't see him. I didn't run into him he was in Medgar Evers College. And I was like, "Yo, I remember you. You remember?" He was like, "Yeah, I remember." I was like, he didn't want to give me his number, but he was like, He was doing his thing. I was like, "Yo," I said, "Thank you," because this experience lets me know I'm not wasting my time. You know what I mean? Right. You feel me? But I decided to start recording so I could prove it if shit goes down. And speaking to the journalist, he became like a therapist. And he captured the story. He wrote an amazing article, one of the longest New York Times articles, 10 pages in print.
So, in these recordings, though, what were they saying?
Just, it was clear, you know, race. We need black men, ages 12 to 14 to 21 primarily, but just black men. You know what I mean? If he's 85, they don't care. You know what I mean? You bring in a white guy, it's like, whoa, what's going on right now? You know what I mean? You bring in a black person, Hispanic person, is business as usual. You feel me? The Knicks suck, whatever they talk about, they talking about.
Right.
And then when you bring in a white guy, everybody stop what they doing. You understand? So it was just pressure saying, you got to get your numbers. I'm like, that's illegal though. You know what I mean? And with the stop and frisk case, you know, when you read the judge's decision, right? One of the reasons that she was able to rule solidly is because of the current mayor, right? At the time, he was a state senator, and he testified against the city about the numbers game, about the racial profiling. You feel me? And two other cops, active cops, Polanco and Serrano, they were active and they testified. The mayor used to be a cop, so he knew the game too. Right. So essentially, 3 cops testified against the city. It's unheard of. You feel me? And that's why the judge was able to rule solidly. And that's what changed the game. In 2011, we went from nearly 700,000 stop and frisk recorded, because sometimes they jump out, they violate and keep it moving and don't record it.
Yes.
700,000 stop and frisk to less than 50,000 in that first year, right? In 2014. Something else happens in 2014. The late Ken Thompson, I think the anniversary of his passing was either today, it's coming up. He said he refuses to prosecute less than 25 grams of weed. And at first, the commissioner was furious. He said marijuana arrests are the backbone of broken windows police. And broken windows is just locking us up for any little thing. And
quality of life.
Quality of life, right? Any little thing, believing that, you lock him up for the spliff at 2, he ain't out there climbing up the block at 10, right? It's a flawed theory. It's unproven. There's no empirical data to support it. Cities that did not enact broken windows also saw a steep drop in crime in the 90s. It's bullshit. You feel me? But that shit is reserved for us in our communities. De Blasio, the mayor at the time, did the right thing. A few months later, he made it citywide. And cats were celebrating that. I don't know if you remember, like, we can smoke our spliffs down. You can't, if you have less than 25 grams and it's not in public sight, then you're given a summons. Today we have, full legalization. So stop and frisk case, Ken Thompson, decriminalizing marijuana. And then we get Eric Garner, right, happening that summer. Then a Kai Gurley just walking up the stairs in East New York gets shot dead. Yeah. You know what I mean? We get Mike Brown and Ferguson, and then you get the 2 cops just sitting in the car in Bed-Stuy. They get killed. It was a crazy year. Yeah. You feel me? And this was all leading up to it. Like it reminded me that I got to do this. You know what I mean? Eric Garner should be here. If that cop was that, let me tell you, when you in plain clothes, the D's, I don't know, that's what we call them in Brooklyn, the D's. Yeah. Everybody got a different name, but when you're in plain clothes, your quota is felonies. It can't just be any arrest, like blue and white. It got to be felonies. Usually it's about 4 felonies a month. The main felony that they want is guns, right? But if you can't get guns, you got to get something else. Untaxed cigarettes, depending on how many you sell, is a felony. So that's why that cop, he had to go hard. This is what he's being rated on. You feel me? So if we were able to change that, say 2 years prior, Eric Garner would be here. You know what I mean? That situation wouldn't have happened that way. You feel me? And this is why I'm like, I gotta get this information out there. But I will say, when I did blow the whistle, a lot of our people, they thought I was just like exposing an annoyance. Like, no. This is why that cop was behaving that way. You, in the morning, say you guys are the Crip brothers or whatever you said earlier, right? The partners, right? Right?
Eminem.
Right? Eminem. So Eminem, your meal break is 11 a.m., right? You come in at 11, you still have to request permission to actually take that break. Because if something's going down, as a sergeant, I can be like, no, go out to this block, go out to Farragut, right? Because this is about to go down, or there's some sort of unrest. Because it's the reality of the job. What they would do is they would exploit that right, if you didn't come in with a stop and frisk and summonses, they would say go back out there. So you knew if you wanted to eat your if you want your bacon, egg, and cheese, you gotta get a few summonses.
So it was the pressure.
The pressure.
It was the pressure.
You feel me? Imagine that you can't even eat a bagel, you can't even eat a sandwich if you don't first violate someone. You understand? Or a couple people. And this is what the NYPD was. This is what I had to fight back against.
But it's just not the NYPD. I remember a judge was exposed for having a quota on how many juveniles they were sending to the prison.
Yeah.
And I think the case got investigated because one of the charges, one of the sentences was so ridiculous. They investigated and they found out that this judge was getting a kickback for every kid that he was sending to this prison.
Yeah.
And I guess one day he saw a Ferrari he liked and he said, okay, I'm gonna get that Ferrari by the end of the day. And he was just sending them off, and people were like, "What the hell is going on here?"
Man, there's a lot of money in criminal justice, man. There's a lot of money in keeping us like this. Think about it, right? Between the judges, the prosecutors, defense attorneys, the bailiffs, the court officers, the police officers. The custodial staff. Everybody, it's all connected. The bail bonds, man, it's all connected. You understand? And it's a lot of money. The overtime, it's called crime reduction overtime, meaning you're on overtime to arrest and write summonses. And there's one Dominican cop, he was putting this girl through with cosmetic surgery school, and so he relied on the overtime. But in 2018, best year for crime, less than 300 homicides. By comparison, I believe in 91, 92, we had about almost 3,000 homicides. So that's complete difference, right? But because the crime wasn't high, there wasn't overtime, and he was pissed. I'm like, yo, that's good. He was like, nah, fuck that. I gotta get my girl through school. So he would rather dudes clap it up so he could get the overtime, so he could put his girl through school so they could make money. You know what I mean? It's like, it's just money.
We're going to take a break. But when we come back, I want to discuss what can be solutions for these situations, and I want to kind of educate everyone that's watching on what their rights are, so they know when they're getting violated and how they can protect themselves. 5-minute break.
I was just saying, when I just came from France less than 24 hours ago, and we got a call from Brad Pitt. I got a film agent that's shopping it around, and Brad Pitt called to decline. But in the industry, they don't call you to decline. He was like, it was a close vote. We voted no, but what a story. You know what I mean? So right now, the Obamas are reading it. Hopefully they make an offer.
Just the fact that
the name of Brad Pitt's company
speaks volumes.
Yeah, even the agent.
Ask him the name of Brad Pitt's company.
Plan B Studios.
Plan B?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't know.
That's smart for him.
Yeah, right?
Oh, y'all don't want to film my movie?
Yeah. Plan B.
Yeah, Plan B.
Do it myself.
Yeah, but then other studios,
your wife has a crush on me?
other studios
Plan
are
B.
afraid. They're like, yo, what a story, bro. We can't touch this. Hitler got like
They can't
13
touch
movies. I mean, they don't want it. You know what I mean? They don't want it's exposing some shit. You know what I mean? Yeah.
That dude was in a movie about Nazis.
Exactly.
And here I am sitting with the same question I was going to ask
Yeah, go ahead.
Rizza Islam.
Ooh.
Is there any fucking hope? We running?
Yeah, we gotta, yeah.
We're running.
Is there hope?
Is there hope? Knowing that this numbers game targeted minorities. You got the funny face if you walked in with a Caucasian under arrest. The way this thing is playing out, the people you've seen who stood for something, we'll say no names, who stood for something, and now they're playing the same game. The fear of this stuff being reinstated. Is there any hope?
I mean, the answer, the response to that is cliche. but the power is really with us. I mean, we put the pressure on the right people, the right leadership. There's hope.
How do we put the pressure on them?
Honestly, man, enough of us have to be asking the right questions and making the right demands, where that becomes the new lexicon. That becomes the new regular talk. 3 years ago, very few used to say defund the police, right? And that became the battle cry within a few weeks of George Floyd. And it's not just like what I write about in my book. In addition to that, we got to make the right demands to the right people, and we could get some changes. You know
For the right people in New York City.
The elected officials, we can't leave them out. The governor, the mayor, the city council, right? All levels of government, federal, state, and local. So that's Congress, that's the U.S. senators. That's for one. That's for starts. They write the laws. They make the laws. They oversee the agencies that treat us like this. So technically, they're the ones that are in power to make the change, but we have to tell them what to do, because they make what's called politically expedient decisions. If it ain't amounting to votes, that's all that matters to them.
But after years of systematic targeting,
Yeah.
do we even hold the numbers that would be relevant for a change?
Honestly, my brother, it's an uphill battle, man. You know what I mean? It's an uphill battle. Because money talks, and
There you go.
it's all money in this game, even in politics. You feel me? Like, I ran for office 2 years ago, and with the help of my brother Sean King and the people that support me around the nation, you know, I started growing a national profile, especially after George Floyd, after winning the Emmy for my documentary. So I raised money very easily nationwide. And one of the biggest fears of me was, how the fuck did he raise all this money and we ain't give him nothing? You know what I mean? For the people that fund the others.
Right.
Unfortunately, I didn't win my election, but that's something that scares them. You know, the people that their money is what pulls the strings. I didn't take a penny from them. You know, I did the Bernie Sanders thing, grassroots. You know, $5 here, $10 there. But when it's coming from thousands of people, I could sit in the same room with the others.
Right.
You feel me? But I used to think politics. The problem is, everything I'm demanding, you still need elected officials with the courage to implement, which is why I ran for office. I was like, instead of looking for them, because it was hard to find, many elected, I'm not gonna name names, but many elected officials like, listen, young brother, I commend you, but I ain't fighting the NYPD. You know what I mean? I kept running into that wall. So I said, you know what? I didn't wait for the good cop. I became him. I didn't wait for this. I became him. Let me become that politician. Unfortunately, it didn't work out. At the same time, when I see a lot of the candidates who are now elected, how much they've changed in 2 years, I'm like, I know I've already proven I have what it takes to remain the same, but it's like out of the frying pan into the fire. You know what I mean? So at one point, you know, I have hope, but sometimes I feel that cynicism. You know what I mean? I feel it also, like, what's the point? This thing is too well oiled, it's too powerful. Get your coins while you can, do what you can for your family, but there ain't no changing this shit. I get those that feel that way. You know what I mean? But we got to do what we can. You feel me?
Money. Takes money. Got to lobby.
Yeah.
You got to be able to buy politicians. It's legal lobbying. When Akai Gurley got killed and all those Asian people came out and applied pressure to the prosecutor, like, don't you dare prosecute the Asian cop who killed this black boy. Don't you dare. Back down.
Yeah.
You got it, but
Political pressure.
Yeah.
I think the issue, and we as a people spend money. Let's not get that confused. RZA talked the same thing. We spend bread. We spend a lot of bread. We spend it in bullshit places.
Okay, that's what I was waiting on.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We don't spend it in any place effective. We spend it in things that feel good now, as opposed to things that will be effective tomorrow.
Yeah.
Everybody's watering, you know, everybody's fighting for their piece of the boat as opposed to building.
But that goes back to, like, why the beef is what it is in the hood. We can't see the bigger picture. There's no light at the end of the tunnel. You feel me? We can't see it, so we light a match, do something temporary right now, instant gratification versus delayed. You know what I mean?
Delayed satisfaction, which
Yeah,
we could. It's not impossible. I think there is hope.
Just one generation. You put the seed in one generation.
That's
you know
what
I
I'm
mean?
saying.
Right.
We may not live to see it. And I think that's what discourages so many people.
Yeah.
We may not be around when it happens. If
Oh,
we
no,
do
I'm
the
gonna be
work
around.
today,
Yeah. I'll be honest, like one of my closest friends, you know what I mean? He's the one that put me on to you, you know, in the battle rap. He was like, yo, E, tell me 5 black people you admire. And there was 3 out of 5. It was like these men coexisted and couldn't get it done. What do you think you're doing today? You know what I mean? These men existed at the same time and couldn't get it done. We still fighting the same fight. What do you think you'll live your life, man? And that was hard advice to ignore. You feel me? Especially coming from the childhood that I had. Because if anybody should have been moving the fish scale, it was me. If anybody should have been catching the jukes, as we say in Brooklyn, it was me.
Right.
But I didn't. You feel me? But I honestly believe I survived all that to do what I'm doing now. And we've seen results. I remember right before COVID shut everything down, it was a video from Canarsie where it was a young man, I think he was about 18, 19, he got stopped. But you could tell he ain't used to being stopped. And by the time we was 19, it was routine.
Yeah,
it was like, hurry up, man, I got things
I'm
to
cracking
do.
jokes.
Yeah, do you? Exactly.
Yeah,
Like,
I ain't got no guns on me today, but if you caught me yesterday,
woo, you know what I mean?
it's crazy.
Exactly. But that young man was you could tell he was so unaccustomed to being stopped. And on one end, that's the success of the work. You feel me? But on the other end, it's like, damn, he's asking the officer, sir, why are you stopping me? Like things that by 19, don't even bother to ask.
I'm not even gonna get an answer. Yeah.
So that's a sign of the work working. From 700,000 to less than 50,000. The decriminalization of marijuana and so many criminal summonses that are now civil summonses. Like the work has been working. You feel me? The leadership in the department today, they'll cite those same things and say, what reform? Everything is okay. No, because we fought y'all. You know what I mean? And the fight is working. But if you don't keep the pressure, eventually, they can uproot it. And that's what we're seeing now. Like right now, the jump out crew, they back. They're not plain clothes, but they back. They still doing the same shit. They riding around in unmarked cars, still doing it. And is it to say that we should eliminate unmarked cars? Listen, we know how it is in the hood, right? We know it's you roll the dice. You know what I mean? Right. You want to live a certain life, you taking risks.
Right.
You feel me? Because one of the last things I did that right before I retired, a few months before, right before I signed out, we got a 3-year-old shot in Brownsville, right? And when I get to when I get to Brookdale, she did. That's the 1-year-old that passed away. Yeah, that was in Bed-Stuy. When I get to Brookdale, they're operating on this little girl, right? She got shot through her arm. Her father just picked her up out of daycare, and one of my officers is playing Cocomelon. So to distract her while they're working on her bullet wounds, a 3-year-old. All those words shouldn't exist in one sentence. You feel me? That was tough. And I remember the father, it was a Jamaican dude. He said he broke his routine. He went to the supermarket first. They were gonna raise the price of the daycare. So he had that conversation with the daycare owner, and he was like, if I stuck to my routine, my baby I said, yo, Dad, you can't blame yourself. You understand? But then I saw the video, man. These young cats, they ain't give 2 shits that there's a daycare letting out right now. He saw somebody he wanted to, you know what I mean? He let it off, missed the dude completely and hit this little girl. Thankfully, the little girl survived, but I'm like, this is what they used to say. This is why we police y'all niggas like that.
Right.
You feel me?
We can't police ourselves.
You know what I mean? And I hate that because I remember speaking to young cats who are so lost. I'm like, you understand what you're doing affects Obama? They're like, the fuck, what are you talking? I said, because when they use the statistics that you contribute to say this is why they need to treat blacks, et cetera, and why they look at us funny. And they look at us funny regardless. You know what I mean? But don't play into the caricature. But these are the part of the conversation we need to have. I kept my own personal database of young folks, anybody that was locked up 20 and younger. And I found a pattern. It all started with school, man. I mean, based on what you shared, with you too. Like school is the first sign that you see that they something's wrong. You know what I mean? Especially when they gifted. So we got work to do as a community, but none of that justifies getting policed crazy out here. None of it. Okay. And I still live in the hood.
Can you give us insight on what you're supposed to do, or what your rights are when you're stopped by a police officer?
Yeah. So if you're in a car, right, some of your rights are suspended. Supreme Court cases, basically the argument is because of the ability to get away, certain rights are suspended. So like a spliff out in the street, well, today is legal, but before that, well, today, even though a spliff is legal in the car, they can still search your car. You're not supposed to be smoking while you're driving, you understand? Right. So bumper to bumper. But you got to be in the car. There's been scenarios where they make folks get in the car, right, just so they could search them, just so they could violate them.
So you can refuse.
You can refuse, absolutely. There's no legal mandate that says you have to go into a car. That's insane, you know. The best thing, your best friend is the cameras, man. You know, the body cam, don't rely on that, because especially those jump out boys, they don't turn it on when they're supposed to. They turn it on after to make it look like it was all done legally.
So you can legally pull out your phone and record your interaction with a police officer.
Yeah, like the best thing is if you have bystanders, security cameras. It's rough, man, but if you get it on tape, that's your best bet. That's your best bet. Because the body cam, it makes the police also operate differently. But like I said, the jump out crew, they don't turn it on when they're supposed to. They play games with that. Yeah.
And you got to file requests to get their footage.
Yeah.
And they can delay giving it to you.
But legally, you can record.
Yeah. Legally, you're allowed to record legally. Yeah.
That's the First Amendment.
Yeah. So the actual process, step by step, right? So say I'm driving down 25th, I'm in my car, I get pulled over, right? But to my knowledge, I'm doing nothing wrong, right? Yo, we'll pull over to the right shoulder, whatever. I pull over to the right shoulder. What's next?
Well, remember, driving is a privilege, and the police officer is supposed to stop you within legal parameters. But right now, you don't know what it is. If they're professional, they should tell you what it is. But we know the type of policing we talk about is when they pull you over just because they sized you up. Comply with lawful orders. Honestly, the best thing to do is record. Once they pulling up, start recording, man. Because if they don't do it right, it's called fruits of a poisonous tree. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So for those that don't know what that is, if the search is wrong, whatever they find in the search
gets tossed out.
Everything gets tossed out. Mm-hmm. There's no case. And the only way you can prove that is if you record. You understand? Or you got to start recording. We got to start recording, man. Mm-hmm. You know, it's unfortunate.
I was told when you get pulled over, like let's say it was a taillight. Let's say I ran a stop sign or something, and that's why I got pulled over. So they had probable cause, right? I'll pull over, take my keys out of my car and put it on the hood of the car and put my hands on the steering wheel.
Yeah. I mean, these are all steps that we take so we don't come off suspicious, so they don't, because one wrong move, Philando Castile, God rest his soul, he did everything right. He was a concealed carry, he had a concealed carry permit holder. You're supposed to tell the officer, but the officer could not stop seeing a nigga with a gun and took that man's life in front of his lady and her daughter. Yeah. So this is why we do those things, and that's old. That's old school. Just try to be least suspicious as possible, but legally in terms of your rights, it's like you don't have to do all that. But it's probably the best bet.
What happens when you're exercising your rights, and the cops will tell you that this is suspicious because you're exercising your rights? For instance, let's say I'm rolling with Champ.
Yeah.
They pull him over. They want his ID because they're going to give him a ticket. Mm-hmm. He comes around to me and says, I want your ID. So I don't have to give you my ID. I'm a passenger in the vehicle. You don't suspect me.
With your seatbelt on?
With my seatbelt on. I took it off when you came over, but you don't suspect me of committing a crime. I'm not giving you my ID. Well, that makes you suspicious because you won't turn your ID over. It seems like you have something to hide.
Okay. It could raise their personal suspicion, but it doesn't mean legally they can do anything.
Right. My Fourth Amendment is still intact.
Exactly. Right? You know what I mean? But it's tricky because they gonna look for something. You know how it goes.
Yeah.
But, but if you're gonna move like that, you gotta be on point. You know what I mean? The low roach, anything, they got you. You know what I mean? It's hard. And who wants to live like that hyper militant. I mean, that's why it's hard.
I think the other thing people need to know is that they can get you out the car no matter what.
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't have to.
Oh, no, I think we know.
Yeah.
I think we know.
I was
There's
told
been
something
plenty-
different. I was told that you have to.
You have the right.
The right
listen.
for what?
No, that you have to grant them permission to search your vehicle.
No,
or
searching
step
your
out.
car.
No, it
is-
depends.
Or step
though.
out.
No.
No,
it
stepping
depends.
out, they can conduct a traffic stop anywhere. So they can have you out the car whenever. Doesn't matter like what they pulled you over for. They say step out the car, you have to step out the car. And if you say no, you're now going against a lawful order.
Yeah.
And that's an arrestable offense. You have to get out the car.
But
Supreme
they
Court
can't.
already
They could
ruled.
shine a light in the immediate area, but they can't search. They need more to search, but in reality, they do the search. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Suspicion. I
Probable
smell
cause.
marijuana. I smell something.
Let me
Smell
tell you.
alcohol.
Let me tell you. Before the body cams, right? It was always the cup holder. They found the weed, right?
Mm-hmm.
Even though they probably found the weed on the person, but they needed it as a justification to search the car. Once the body cam came, all of a sudden, NYPD officers had the best noses in the world, man. And they would play to the camera because they, hey, you smell that? You know, like they're playing to the camera because
Right.
they're using it as a justification. You know what I mean?
Right. And they'll say, I smell weed.
Yeah.
That
And
looks
would be
like
the
shake
reason.
on the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah. Stuff like that.
Mhm.
But so
There's countless amounts of videos on YouTube where they kind of expose the routines or the tricks or this car comes with a key fob. Can I see it? When you're turning over your keys now they have the right to.
let me tell you, man, Jay-Z got a lot of brothers in trouble, man, with that. Was it 99 Problems?
Yeah.
Rubber glove compartment is
Yeah.
locked, so is the trunk in the back, and I know my
Yeah.
rights, so you're gonna need a warrant
Listen,
for that.
Jigga, you hurt a lot of people with that whole, because the reality is legally, if the key is readily available, that's legally considered unlocked. Cats don't know that. So put that out there, please, anybody watching. If the key is readily available, it is considered unlocked legally.
So if the key is not in the ignition, if it's one of these cars where it's a push button and you have the
No,
key.
the key for the glove
For the
box.
glove.
Oh, for the glove box.
If it's
Okay,
readily
okay.
available, if it's dangling with the keys with everything else, like with the key ring,
If they
that's
can find it,
it's considered unlocked.
it's considered unlocked.
You know what I mean? Legally.
Mm.
You understand?
Never knew
But
that.
what I want to get into is where I'm at now. You feel me?
Mm.
It's been a couple months I retired from the police department. And some people was like, you bugging. You're a lieutenant, you're making good money. You know, you've survived the unimaginable. Why would you leave? And ever since I decided to become a whistleblower, over 2,000 cops around the country have reached out, right? Some of them have become whistleblowers themselves after seeing the documentary, after seeing some interviews. Others, they're ready to do what's right, but they want to be activated. You know what I mean? They want the platform to do it. They're not ready to risk their careers and be whistleblowers.
Right.
So that's why I left the police department. I wrote my book, right? The book has the gems in terms of what we need to ask, what we need to demand. And I want to really empower other cops all across the nation. You understand? On October 14th, King's Theater, having an event that's, I mean, you get a book at the event, but it's not about the book. One, I got cops flying in from all over the country that I call justice-minded. Justice-minded cops flying in from all over the country, ready to do what they can in their respective departments. I got one coming from London. You feel me? Like, even across the world, ready to do what they can from their police departments. We have amazing speakers, Dr. Ilyasa Shabazz, the daughter of Malcolm X, Terrence Floyd, the brother George Floyd, public advocate's gonna be there, Jamani Williams, Tamika Mallory, you know. Let me tell you, Tamika, that's when I first became a whistleblower and an activist, you know, shout out to Tamika, Justice League. At first they were like, what? Nah, like a cop, we can't really get down with this. But when she met me, she was like, I could tell you genuine. And I don't know if I survived what I survived without them. You understand? And so my sister Tamika's gonna be there. And my brother Malik Yoba is gonna be hosting, you know, New York Undercover.
Oh shit!
My boy, shout out to Malik
Shout out to
Yoba.
Malik.
Oh, pull up.
Shout out to
Yeah,
Malik.
yeah. New York
Pull up.
Undercover. Let
Love
me
that
tell you,
show.
as a kid watching that, I ain't ever think I was gonna be a cop, but I knew if I wanted to be a cop, I could. You know, watching what was the character's name, J.C. Williams.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? So this is it's really an activation of something important. You feel me? And we're gonna present the book in a very unique way, but it's so much bigger than the book, man. I mean, this is like 3 years ago, everybody was outside.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There were no distractions. Everybody was about this. People I thought I'd never see protesting was protesting every day. The party promoters started hosting protests. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Bluetooth speakers and all. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But then once the distractions came, I'll tell you, as somebody that had to work the protests, the minute the governor allowed folks to sit outside, like right outside the restaurant in the parking, you saw 50% of the protesters drop in 1 week. By the second week, another 25%. You understand? The minute the distractions came back, everybody was back to normal. I'm not trying to wait on the next viral video. I can't do it. Like, yo, I can't wait. You understand? Like, we do the work now. We don't ever have to have one of those situations again. I know that might sound crazy, but it could be done. You feel me? Other communities don't go through it. Why do we have to?
Now, speaking of other communities, growing up in Crown Heights, one thing that I noticed is that the Jewish community had their own police force. Mm-hmm. How do we get our own police force?
We can. You know what I mean? There's all sorts of emergency response crews. You just register with the state. You know, these are all things that we can do. These are all things that, I ain't really put it out there yet, but next year I need to sit with a few good people and start doing a lot of these things for our own communities. Because there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to take advantage of things like that. You understand? Opportunities. I mean, we have violence interrupters. I don't know if you're familiar, different crews out there. You know, that's similar in terms of us taking initiative in our communities, but there's a lot of things that already exist where we can take initiative in our communities, and we need to exploit those things. You know
it's been said that one of the main reasons we deal with so much brutality is because most of the cops who are policing our neighborhoods are not from there.
Yeah.
Have no understanding of us. They don't know our dynamic. They don't know how we get down. They don't know if you and I are slapboxing, we're not fighting.
Yeah.
Right.
You dig what I mean? We're not escalating. So why are you running down on us with all this energy, throwing us in handcuffs?
Yeah.
You got to understand, a lot of these officers are coming from neighborhoods where, one, they haven't been exposed to many people outside of their race. Two, if you watch television, I mean, Black people are pretty much criminalized. Like, this is the image that they've been watching forever. Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Outwardly.
So when you couple that with the pressure of even being in a neighborhood to fight crime or to uphold law enforcement, and knowing that the music is violent, the environment is hostile because towards police officers, because of how we've been treated, because of the traumas that we've been through. Like, bro, I can tell you a bunch of stories on why every time a police officer comes around me, I feel, you know what I mean?
Tense.
Yeah.
You understand?
Because I've been through it from
That's
teenage
trauma,
years.
man.
Yeah, it's trauma.
Yeah.
It's trauma. Now it's like, it's hard to deal with.
Yeah.
And I know for the people that's still in it, still having to see it every single day, it's even worse. Mm-hmm. So,
a couple of them shouted me out walking through Times Square. I turned around with all of what? Like, the fuck you want? Like, why you bothering me? Yo, we saw you on the show.
Yeah.
I mean, celebrity status, it helps, but when you're not a celebrity, it's a different story.
I'm not a celebrity.
Now, you're right. And listen, like, with implicit bias, it affects the officers who are at the bottom dealing with us day to day. But the thing that we need to focus on is the leadership, because their implicit bias, see, someone on the bottom, their implicit bias is to pull you over, size you up. The people on the top, their implicit bias, they have the same implicit bias, but because they got the power of the pen, they write policies that affect everyone. So even me as a Black cop who's conscious, if I follow their policy, I'm part of white supremacy now. I'm dealing, I'm putting out the same energy.
Right.
So that's where we need to change it, at the top. You know what I mean? You aim at the top.
Falls down.
You become an agent of their
exactly.
races.
Regardless of what your biases are. You feel me?
Hence that indoctrination.
Exactly.
Hence all the ills that come under that.
Exactly.
Right.
Understood.
But unfortunately, you can't climb the ranks to make a change without being part of that.
Exactly. And that's why I felt I reached the pinnacle. Like, everything I could have, would have, and should have done, while being active, I've done more than than what's supposed to be possible. I'm ready to activate this shit from a different level now. You know what I mean? Yeah.
Because what you see is that no matter how high you get up on the scale, there's always politics to play.
Listen, man.
There's always something.
Yeah.
There's always somebody.
And I got to, I got to put this brother's name out there. He's a captain. He's a justice-minded brother. His name is Captain Derby St. Fort. He's ready to change this whole policing thing. Everything that I originally wanted to do, rising through the ranks, he's still there. He's ready to do it. We need to activate this brother. We need the leadership to respect him, but they don't. You know what I mean? Because his views, him as a visionary, what he's getting ready to implement, they can't get down with it. You feel me? Like the young cats that's involved in the streets, he works with them directly. He provides a space for them to have conversations with each other about their behavior, and we see the difference. Statistically, we see the difference. A lot of times you just got to talk to these young brothers, man. A lot of times they just be lost. You understand? And even if it doesn't seem as if you're getting through to them, at some point when they bored, they got nothing to do, they start thinking about all that. You know what I mean? Yeah.
So, but real quick, in reference to what Mav said about how in Crown Heights, the Jewish community has their own policing, ambulance, stuff like that, security. If us as Black people started doing that, what pushback do you think will come from the NYPD, being that we're the ones that's the target for criminalization?
It's a good question, man. I mean, again, if we legally, this stuff exists. These are things that you just register with the state. If we get the funds to do it, we get the right people behind it, and we get the right documentation, there's nothing they can do. You know what I mean? Not legally anyway. I mean, they're gonna hate
until they invent a new law.
I feel like we'll be back in the 60s again.
Until they invent a new law.
Let's not go down the path of there's no hope, man.
We can't.
Let's just hang ourselves tonight.
No, not at all.
Like, man, let's not do that.
You gotta think about all factors. That's all.
And one of the main factors I want to put in this, faith in action. No matter what ideology or whatever religion you follow, faith and action. You go into things with a positive mindset, and energy resonates. There's a lot of truths that we spoke as far as, what happens with the judicial system. But there are also a lot of truths that exist as far as who we are as human beings and the power that we have to change our future. So we can have these conversations, but there's also the manifestations conversations. There's also the belief. And again, I don't know what ideology, what religion you follow, but when you have a strong belief and you couple that with action, things change. Things change. This man had a belief. He coupled it with action. He saw results. If enough of us get on that page, we can change it. No matter what you think or what you think the higher ups are holding against us, we can change it. There's a reason why we are oppressed like this. There is a power within us that needs to be held down. You understand? If that power is allowed to grow, it's unstoppable. So just keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. It's not hopeless. It's not hopeless. As long as you have breath, there is hope. Edwin Raymond, I want to thank you.
Abolish qualified immunity.
Mav Luther King.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That's a good one.
Mic drop.
A nigga used to have no chill, nowadays I bump side A. Traffic going bumper to bumper, stuck on the highway. Takes so long to get from Monday to Friday, then you wake up on Sunday like it was just Friday. Crime pays an iron cage, had to find ways. I wasn't trying to slave a 9 to 5 till my dying days. Frank Sinatra, I gotta do it my way. Chasing the dream, some people look at you.